This collection of excerpts follows Colonel Lei Cheng, a former Chinese police officer, as she transitions into Susan Lei, the director of enforcement for a clandestine international organization called Quantum, led by the brilliant but unconventional Dr. Jack Morgan. Initially on trial for alleged crimes, Lei is acquitted and offered a new life dedicated to global justice using advanced, often morally ambiguous, technologies developed by Morgan and his team, including sentient androids and portal technology. The narrative explores themes of redemption, sacrifice, and the ethical implications of powerful technologies as Lei and her allies confront threats ranging from rogue governments and criminal cartels to the complexities of artificial intelligence, all while protecting a young Tibetan girl named Karma, who holds a significant place in their lives. The excerpts highlight action-packed operations, interpersonal relationships, and the ever-present struggle to balance cutting-edge science with human values in a world teetering on the brink of technological disruption.
Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. Today we're going to be taking a look at Colonel Lei Cheng and the world of quantum technology. You shared a fascinating book about her life. And let me tell you, it's a wild ride through international intrigue and some pretty mind-bending science.
It really is. The book blends real-world geopolitics with technology that feels straight out of science fiction. It makes you think about how quickly technology is advancing and whether we can really control the consequences.
And at the center of it all is Colonel Lei Cheng. I have to admit, when I first heard her name, all I could think about was that incident in Tibet. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The media painted a very particular picture of her.
Absolutely. The initial narrative around Colonel Cheng was that she was this ruthless figure, almost a villain. But this book really challenges that perception and reveals a much more complex person. Like, for example, it covers her trial in detail, and she was actually acquitted of crimes against peace.
Yeah, that was a huge surprise for me, too. I remember thinking, wait a minute. She had nothing to do with Satan's breath. It really makes you question how much of what we believe about public figures is shaped by the media or maybe even intentionally manipulated.
Right. And that's where the book takes a really fascinating turn. It introduces us to Jack Morgan, the scientist who actually developed Satan's breath. Talk about a burden of guilt. He's driven by remorse and sets out to redeem himself and Colonel Cheng. And that journey leads to the creation of quantum enforcement.
Quantum enforcement. I'm picturing like a group of scientists running around with laser guns.
Well, it's not quite that dramatic, but they definitely face some intense situations. Quantum enforcement is more like a global task force. They tackle threats that come from advanced technology like dark matter weapons, artificial intelligence gone rogue, even cyber.
Oh, dark matter weapons, cyborgs. What are we talking about here? How does quantum technology even play into all of this?
It's a good question. Basically, imagine harnessing the power of subatomic particles, the building blocks of our universe, to create these incredibly powerful energy sources or even weapons. That's the potential of quantum technology, but it's also the danger. A dark matter weapon in this context would be something that manipulates dark matter, which is this mysterious substance that makes up a huge part of the universe, to create an explosion with unimaginable force.
Okay, now I'm getting goosebumps. So quantum enforcement is trying to keep this technology out of the wrong hands.
Exactly. And they're not just reacting to threats, they're also developing groundbreaking technologies that could benefit humanity. Things that sound like they're straight out of science fiction.
Yeah.
We're talking about near instantaneous travel through portals, android doctors that can perform surgeries beyond human ability, and even treatments that could reverse aging.
It sounds like this book is painting a picture of a future that's both exhilarating and terrifying. With all of this advanced tech, the ethical questions must be mind-boggling.
Absolutely. And that's where the story really dives deep. For instance, there's Tashi, the world's first fully functional android with what they call a quantum brain. She can learn, experience emotions, and even make complex moral decisions.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
If an android can feel emotions, what does that even mean? Are they becoming more like us?
That's one of the central questions the book grapples with. It challenges our definition of consciousness and what it means to be human. And it's not just Tashi. The book introduces us to other characters who blur the lines between humans and machines even further.
Yeah, like Edith Caldwell, Colonel Cheng's partner. In the beginning, she seems totally out of her depth, I was honestly wondering if she was going to make it through a week in this high-stakes world.
Right. But Edith's character is full of surprises. Despite seeming clumsy, she has these moments of incredible competence. She pulls off things that even seasoned agents wouldn't try.
Okay, so we've got this complex figure in Colonel Lei Cheng, a scientist wrestling with the consequences of his genius in Jack Morgan, and a whole world grappling with the implications of technology that could completely change humanity. Where do we even go from here?
Well, next we should dive into some of the specific challenges that quantum enforcement faces. They're not just dealing with philosophical debates, they're facing real threats from people who want to exploit these technologies for power and profit.
You're telling me just the idea of a dark matter weapon falling into the wrong hands is terrifying. Let's unpack some of those incidents and see how quantum enforcement handles them.
One of the most gripping scenes in the book takes place in Tel Aviv. Quantum enforcement has to stop a cartel submarine. And it's armed with, you guess it, a dark matter weapon.
Oh, man, I felt the tension just reading that part. The stakes are so high, it's not just about stopping criminals. It's about preventing a global catastrophe.
Exactly. And the book doesn't shy away from the tough choices Lei Cheng has to make as the leader of quantum enforcement. In this case, she has to decide whether to risk sinking an unidentified vessel in Israeli waters or potentially face a devastating dark matter attack.
It's a lose-lose situation.
Yeah.
I was really on edge wondering how they were going to get out of that one. What's interesting is how the book balances these action-packed scenes with these deeper ethical questions about these technologies.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like the mission in Berlin, Edith and Tashi, the android we talked about earlier, have to stop an attack that involves supercapacitors. These devices can store huge amounts of energy, and in the wrong hands, they can be incredibly dangerous weapons.
The way the author describes the supercapacitors about to detonate the possibility of all those casualties, it's heart-stopping. It really made me think about the responsibility that comes with developing such powerful technology.
That's a theme that runs throughout the whole book. This idea that scientific progress without ethical considerations can have terrible consequences. And it's not just about keeping bad guys from getting their hands on dangerous tech. It's also about understanding what might happen with our own creations, things we don't expect.
It makes me think about Tashi again. Here we have this android that can feel emotions, show compassion, even sacrifice herself for the greater good. What does that mean for how we define humanity? If a machine can do all of that, where do we draw the line?
The book doesn't give you easy answers, and that's one of the things that makes it so good. It raises these really deep questions about consciousness, what a soul is, and what it even means to be human in a time when technology is changing everything so quickly.
And it's not just theoretical either.
Yeah.
The story is full of moments where these questions have real consequences, sometimes life or death consequences.
Definitely. Like the battle in New York City, quantum enforcement has to fight cyborgs right in the middle of Times Square. It's a thrilling action scene, but it also forces us to think about the ethical problems of using that kind of technology.
Those cyborgs used to be human rights. It's hard to wrap your head around the idea that someone could be turned into something so different, so dangerous.
It's a reminder that the line between humans and machines is becoming blurry. And as we develop even more advanced technology, these ethical issues are only going to get more complex.
It makes you wonder if we're heading towards a future where the definition of humanity is up for debate.
That's something the book explores really well. It doesn't shy away from the anxieties and fears people have about these technologies, but it also shows the potential for good.
It's like walking this tightrope between hope and fear. On one hand, we could cure diseases and hunger, even travel to other stars. On the other hand, there's this constant fear of unintended consequences of creating something that could destroy us.
And right in the middle of all this is Lei Cheng. She's dealing with her own past, trying to find redemption in a world that's on the verge of radical change.
Her transformation throughout the book is remarkable. She goes from this seemingly cold and ruthless person to someone who shows compassion and a deep sense of responsibility for protecting humanity.
It shows that people can change, that we can learn from our mistakes and choose a different path. What's interesting is that the book portrays her transformation as this gradual process. It's not just a sudden realization, it's influenced by the people around her.
Especially her relationship with Jack Morgan. Their partnership is based on this shared guilt, this desire to make up for what they did in the past. They push each other to be better, and they find a kind of redemption in their work with quantum enforcement.
It's a great example of how connecting with other people, even in difficult situations, can help us grow. And it's not just Morgan. Her interactions with Edith, with the androids like Tashi, all of these relationships shape her understanding of the world and her place in it.
And it makes me think about the bigger picture. We've talked about the amazing potential of quantum technology, but the book also shows the worries people have about it. Losing jobs, misuse of technology, even the fear of losing what makes us human.
The book does a great job of capturing those anxieties. It reflects the concerns we have in our own world about artificial intelligence, bioengineering, and how quickly things are changing. It can feel overwhelming sometimes, but it also suggests that the answer isn't to reject progress, but to guide it, to make sure that these advancements help humanity instead of hurting it.
And that responsibility isn't just on scientists or governments. It's on all of us to think critically about the future we want to create. The book doesn't give us all the answers, but it does remind us that we have a choice in how this all plays out.
One thing that really stuck with me was how the cartel was depicted. This shady organization wants to use quantum technology for its own selfish goals for power and money. It's a reminder that even the most amazing discoveries can be used for evil, and we need to be careful.
It's a scary thought that something so powerful could fall into the wrong hands. It makes Lei Cheng's mission and the mission of quantum enforcement even more important.
What's interesting is that even with all the anxiety and threats, the book ends on a cautiously optimistic note. It suggests that even with all these changes, humanity can adapt and find ways to use these technologies to make society better.
It's not a naive kind of optimism, though. The book acknowledges that progress comes with risks and that we need to be thoughtful, but there's also this sense of wonder, this excitement about what the future holds.
And that's what I take away from this deep dive, a feeling that we're on the edge of something incredible. It will be challenging, but it will also be full of opportunities. It's up to us to face this future with wisdom and courage to make sure that humanity not only survives, but thrives.
Well said. If this deep dive has made you curious about Colonel Lei Cheng and quantum technology, you should definitely check out the book yourself. Who knows what other insights and discoveries are waiting for you in those pages? As always, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep. Until next time. Yeah, it's not like she just flicks a switch and becomes a good guy. It's this whole process of her facing her past and dealing with the guilt, and then finding this new purpose in protecting humanity from the very thing she helped create.
It shows that people can change, We can learn from the things we've done wrong and choose a different way to live. And what's really interesting is that the book shows this change happening gradually. It's not just a sudden realization. It's influenced by all the people she interacts with.
Yeah, especially her relationship with Jack Morgan. It's like they're partners in this shared guilt, this need to fix the things they did wrong. They challenge each other, push each other to be better. In the end, they kind of find redemption together through their work with quantum enforcement.
It's a really good example of how connecting with other people, even when it starts in a difficult situation, can help us grow. And it's not only Morgan. Her interactions with Edith, with the androids like Tashi, all of those relationships help shape how she sees the world and where she fits in.
And it makes me think about the bigger picture. We've talked about the amazing potential of this quantum technology. But the book doesn't ignore the fact that people are worried about it. People losing their jobs, the technology being used for bad things, even the fear of losing what makes us human with all this technology around.
The book really gets that feeling of unease. It reflects the same kind of anxieties we have today about artificial intelligence, bioengineering, and how fast everything is changing. It can be overwhelming. But it also suggests that we shouldn't just reject progress altogether. Instead, we should try to guide it to make sure that these new advancements help humanity instead of hurting it.
And that's not just the responsibility of scientists or governments. It's on all of us to think critically about the kind of future we want. The book doesn't give us all the answers, but it reminds us that we have a choice in how this all plays out.
One thing that really stayed with me was how the cartel was portrayed. This shady organization that wants to use quantum technology for its own greedy purposes for power and money. It reminds us that even the greatest discoveries can be used for evil and that we always need to be vigilant.
It's a chilling thought that something so powerful could fall into the wrong hands. It makes Lei Cheng's mission and quantum enforcement's mission seem even more important.
What's fascinating is that even with all the anxiety and the threats, the book ends on a note of cautious optimism. It suggests that even with all these big changes, humanity can adapt and find ways to use these technologies to improve society.
It's not like a naive kind of optimism, though. The book recognizes that progress comes with risks and that we need to be careful. But there's also this sense of wonder, this excitement about all the possibilities that lie ahead.
And that's what I ultimately take away from this deep dive. The feeling that we're standing on the edge of something truly incredible. It will be full of challenges, but also incredible opportunities. It's up to us to face this future with wisdom and courage to ensure that humanity not only survives, but thrives.
Beautifully put. If this deep dive has piqued your interest in Colonel Lei Cheng and the world of quantum technology, I highly recommend picking up the book yourself. You never know what other insights you might uncover within its pages. As always, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep. Until next time.
In the El Paso Sergio Troncoso Library, writers gather around. Pavo really call us stories to be found. Pens on paper flowing, ideas come alive.